me tell you how it will be.
Welcome back to The Price of Business. You know that music is the one and only taxman CBobLoeser. He is here like clockwork every week, keeping us on our toes when it comes to our taxes. And so I'm delighted to have him on as always. But plus, I always like to talk to him a little bit about what's happening in the political front. He's got great political insights, and he's just a lot of fun to hang out with. Good to see you, buddy.
Good evening. Good to see you.
So tell me what's new in your universe.
Well, I'm taking a deep breath now that I've gotten past my April deadlines. Next deadlines, which we've talked about, are both the franchise tax reports that are due for Texas corporate entities due May 15th. And then in addition, the Harris County and surrounding property counties have property renditions that are due on the 15th of May also. Yeah,
Serenity Now. You know, like what was that, Seinfeld?
Mm-hmm.
Serenity Now, yeah. So I yell that all the time. It never works.
It works never.
It seems like the more I yell it, the less serenity I have. But yeah, although I appreciate the concept. Hey, talk a little bit about, a little bit right now about those specific deadlines that are right around the corner that, people are like giving a collective sigh of relief because April 15th or 17th, I guess is what it ended up being, D-Day as far as that goes, was behind them. But they still have to keep on their toes.
Well, I mean, if you filed an extension, the extension just means that you have until, for personal returns, October 15th, and if it's partnership, trusts, corporations, you have September 15th. But that doesn't mean the tax liability or tax assessment goes away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which also means that the further you pull it or push it off towards those deadlines of September and October, the more interest and potential penalties you are accruing. Because, again, because it's due, they don't abate it because you're a good person.
Right.
If you owe $1,500, they're going to accrue penalties and interest on that $1,500 until you pay it.
But I am a good person.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm always misunderstood.
That's besides.
So people still need to stay on top of that. And now because of, the multiple levels of government, be it federal, state, and local,
right.
we always got something on our radar screen, don't we?
Right. And, and people say, well, what are you talking about, this property rendition? Well, most individuals don't have to worry about it, but
right.
But entities that own assets, computers, furniture, fixtures, desks, etc., and are either in a corporate setting or a doing business as setting that they have you out as a business, must report by originally it's April 15th, May 15th with extension. You can get one more extension. But by not doing it, two things happen. They can assess a penalty for you not filing, and then they can come in and just assess what they think the value is of your assets
arbitrarily
based upon the square footage of your office.
Wow.
All right. Now, mind you, I share office space with two other entities. We have nearly 5,700 square feet, of which I have about 2,500. If they did that on me, my assessment would be $120,000 worth of assets to my square footage. Or maybe
You're rich.
Maybe realistically, I've got $40,000
right.
worth of assets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, who cares? Well, who cares is that's the difference for me of maybe paying $800 in property rendition taxes at the end of the year, or paying $2,400 worth of property tax.
Yep.
The old Monica commercial. You can pay me now. You can pay me later.
Yeah.
If you don't file, you're going to pay later.
Right.
Without a doubt.
And you're going to pay more. And one of the things I've learned from listening to you now over the years is that the government is always going to make a mistake in their favor.
Right.
I mean, always. I mean,
right.
How often do you see, oh, wow, this is great news. I have to pay less than I thought I'd have to pay. It's always invariably in the other direction. And they're largely assuming that there's still this view that people have of government somehow omniscient and certainly omnipotent. And why bother fighting them anyway?
And I've told you, if you get 10 tax notices, and people look at it and go, oh, it's only $110. You want to bet 7 or 8 out of those 10 just pay it and move on?
Oh, yeah.
Where rightfully they don't owe the money at that time. But their response is, well, if I just pay it, then they go away. Mm-hmm. Well, what if they do that once a year to 10 people?
Right.
All right. I mean, they're covering up their deficit, if you want to call it.
Right.
By assessing taxes. Now, again, if you take too big of a deduction, they come after you. But on the other side of the coin, they don't think it's anything wrong with assessing you and thinking, well, if they pay it, great. They don't owe it, but if they pay it, then we've got an additional
Yeah, who goes
revenue
after
stream.
them? That's
Right.
what I want to know.
That's right.
That's why you need someone like Bob. Okay. Yeah, in fact, I heard a story on NPR. Yeah, I listen to NPR. Gotta hear what the enemy is saying. But I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about in San Francisco, all these people were getting ticketed because their tires were pointed in the wrong direction on a hill. You know, they had to be pointed to the right. They can't, and people were going, wait a minute, this thing is flat, it's level. And they go, you know, and they concluded that the city's in a revenue crunch. And so they're trying to figure out every way to do it. And the more the revenue crunch, the more arbitrary government behaves.
Exactly.
So people need to be in the know. All right. So interesting. Have you been watching much on the news front, on the political front, or as your doctor told you to lay off?
As I understand, okay, I think Newt Gingrich is going to be energy czar for Mitt Romney.
Oh, well, of course they can't make those kind of calls yet, but that would be interesting,
Wouldn't
though. That would be interesting.
Gasoline prices down to $1.50 a gallon?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd prove somebody wrong that's sitting in the White House.
That's right. I know this much. People were beating up on him, and they were beating up on Michelle Bachmann. I'm telling you, by executive order, they could lower gas prices by below $3 a gallon.
Yeah, exactly.
Just by executive order. Just all the stupid things that he's added over the last 4 years, he just wiped them out,
the
wiped them out.
regulations in particular are just
the unilateral government-created
stifling.
ones, executive branch-created ones. Yeah, you
stifling.
go nuts on those things, you watch. Gas prices would be somewhere in the low $2 overnight, I think. Now, I'm not sure below $2, but below $2 overnight.
And it's interesting when you said...
although I like that $1.50, I got chills up and down my spine when you said that.
Maybe go to a gas guzzler instead of the energy efficient.
I want my Suburban back.
That's right. That's right. But, I mean, interesting. Two things of interest, okay? Of course, we're on the anniversary of Osama bin Laden being taken out from the face of this earth. And do you ever hear the Democratic regime saying, we want to thank George Bush for setting this up so that we could complete the mission?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Okay?
Of course not.
Right.
But they can find something to blame him for about how things are going today.
Correct. It's still going. Or I listen every once in a while, Fox, Beckel is on.
Yeah.
And Beckel said the other night, I'm better off now than I was 4 years ago. And I'm scratching, and it wasn't my head that I was scratching, thinking, what? Better than you were 4 years ago? Let's get real here.
What are you smoking, man?
That's right. Or how much money?
He wasn't working for Fox 4 years ago. He might be better off.
Right.
And there's more political garbage to shovel around, which is what he's done for a living for decades than ever.
How much are they putting in your bank account each month that is, unreported?
Yeah.
That, of course, you're better off.
Yeah,
when you don't
absolutely.
have to report your income. It's just amazing that they can't pat the opponent on the back and go, you know what, he played a good game.
Yeah.
And nowadays you see that in competition a lot of times with I've got a son who plays competitive soccer, and instead of knocking somebody down, reaching out and handing them an arm to pull them back up, they stand over them and taunt them.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, is that how I'd like to be treated in regards to respect, let alone a soccer game or a sporting event, but in business, having someone, standing over me, basically looking down, going, where are you?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
What goes around comes around in both life and business, and you just sit there and go, you know what? Take your time. The time will come that you'll be standing over, and instead of you looking down and potentially spitting on that opponent, you'll reach out because you're better than they are, and reach out and give a hand to pull them up off the ground.
There you go. All right. We'll call him Taxman Bob Bloeser. And I want to remind you, of course, can email him, and I encourage you to do that, at taxmanbob@pdq.net. That's taxmanbob@pdq.net. I had a senior moment there for a second. And also your phone number.
713-953-1272.
Yeah, and something I know is on our computer, and I'm going to ask my producer to play it in an upcoming segment, is Rock the Casbah in honor of bin Laden's anniversary of his death. Rock the Casbah, what would be better than that? A little bit of the Clash. All right, when we come back, much more for you. We're going to have more, of course, of Bob Bloeser as well. We're looking forward to that, and stay tuned to it right here on this station.
There's one for you, 19 for me. 'Cause I'm the tax man. Yeah.